Second Seder preparations. So that's even harder than the first one, to be honest, because it's already Yom Tov, and you can't start till late. So because you can't start preparing for your second Seder until the second night has begun, which is pretty late. I have the exact time on the schedule. I don't remember offhand what it is, but it's a lot. You know, the first night you can prepare whenever you want. Just prepare the whole day before. It's a regular day, right? Or you can prepare right until the moment before. But on the second night, you can't start till late, so you can't warm up your food in advance, and you really can't do anything. You can't.
Left, right? Until after left.
Right. So you really can't do any of these things. So one needs to be, very careful with it. So anything that you can set up, that is possible to set up before Yom Tov, so you do. Like I said, the matzah, for instance, and it helps. But if you can't, you can't, and it's just one of the pitfalls of living in a country where it gets dark so late, and it makes it that much harder.
Can
Okay.
I ask two questions?
Yes.
Question number one, I'm a bit confused about this idea of not serving roasted meat at Seder.
Okay. There's a law that you're not supposed to serve roasted meat at the Seder. The definition of roasted meat in this regard means like rotisserie or at a spit. It means not in a pan. If you roast meat in a pan with juice and liquid, that's acceptable. That you're allowed to do. There is absolutely no restraint on chicken, and it's only talking about lamb or cow, really.
So bake chicken in the oven.
No problem. So you could make rotisserie chicken, and that's fine. What you're not supposed to have is, the idea is it's not supposed to be something that appears to be the sacrifice, the actual sacrifice.
You can't use a stand, a chicken on a stand.
No, chicken is fine anyway, because chicken is, you don't have chicken sacrifice. The sacrifice was a lamb. So beef could appear like a lamb, right? It could appear like it. Or a lamb could look like a lamb. But chicken's not going to. So the chicken is fine anyway, but when it comes to beef, a lamb, and that type of thing, you can cook it, but you can't cook it dry, roasted. That's what they call it. That you can't do.
Cooked with the liquid.
Right, that means like in a pan rather than on a rotisserie.
And I have another question. This may sound like cheating, but let's say, if my children get hungry on the afternoon of the first day, and let's say I prepare the soup, can I prepare enough so that it would be for the second Seder dinner?
For the second Seder, you mean that you're preparing for the first night, on the first night for this?
No, let's say on the first day, on the afternoon of the first day, at 6 o'clock they may get hungry. Can I prepare, let's say, soup or whatever I'm making?
I see what you're saying.
And can I make extra?
So that there would be enough. So the only way you can do that is if there is a reasonable possibility that someone may want to eat it before then. Right? Now, they don't have to eat it, but it has to be a reasonable possibility. For instance,
like, let's say they would eat at 6 o'clock and dinner is not until 9:30.
Right. And you want to make right then enough and warm it up for the night. So the only possibility of doing it is if it is that somebody might come and want soup, right, beyond what for them, then you'd be allowed to make more. The same thing we have on Shabbos, for instance, like making ice cubes. You shouldn't really make ice cubes on Shabbos because it's called nolad. It's creating something that wasn't there before. There wasn't ice, it was water. So you are allowed to do it if you need them. So on, let's say on a summer day at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, your kids want to drink with ice cubes. Now you use up your ice cubes. So you're allowed to refill it if there's any reasonable chance that somebody might want ice cubes later on that day. So if you're telling me that a half hour before Shabbos is over, right, then I won't believe you that somebody's going to use them. But in the middle of the day they would. So it's the same idea here. You can't cook specifically for that reason, for the reason of using it at night. But if you cook and you use it at night, but you're cooking it for the day, that's acceptable.
How late can we eat before the Seder? Meaning, let's say you have lunch, but at 4 o'clock you're hungry, 5 o'clock, and the Seder you're not going to eat until 9:30, and by then you're okay. Are you allowed to eat something?
So normally the halacha says that men who have to go to shul should not have a significant meal later in the day, because it'll cause them to get tired or be involved with the meal, and they won't go to shul. They'll miss services.
Right.
We're told that if you have a set time for service and somebody who would remind you, then they can. But a woman and children certainly could. They're allowed to. Okay. So cooking on Yom Tov. So cooking in general on Yom Tov we know is different than Shabbos. On Shabbos you're not allowed to cook at all. And Yom Tov you are allowed, but there are certain restrictions as to what you're allowed to do, besides how you actually turn on the oven and all that. Where we know you have to use an existing flame, or the burner has to be on. But how we actually cook is that when you cook on Yom Tov, it has to be for Yom Tov. You can't cook for a Yom Tov for a weekday. You can't cook from one day Yom Tov for a second day Yom Tov. You can't cook for a Yom Tov for Shabbos unless you make an Erev Tavshilin, right? You have to do that, like this week.
When do you do the Erev Tavshilin before Pesach?
You do it before the Yom Tov starts. So you'll notice on the schedule that I'm going to put out, on Erev Pesach, there's a big box that says make Erev Tavshilin. Now the rule of Erev Tavshilin, if you look, it's right in the beginning of the Machzer. If you forget, you don't have to worry, because the rule allows that if I don't forget, I do it for all of you. Right? And I won't forget. And I won't forget. But I do it on behalf of everyone. You should do it yourself, but if you forget, you can still do it. That gives you the ability to cook on Yom Tov and to warm things on Yom Tov to be eaten on Shabbos.
A hard-boiled egg? Not that.
What about, you're going to eat a hard-boiled egg on Shabbos?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to cook it on Yom Tov? Yeah, of course you can do
You
that.
cook it as the Erev Tavshilin, aren't you supposed to use a
Oh,
hard-boiled
all right. Well, you're not explaining yourself. I don't know what you mean. So yes, the Erev Tavshilin is usually is half a piece of matzah and an egg. It's supposed to be two things that are made differently. So one is boiled, one is roasted, one is baked. I mean, right? That's an example. It doesn't have to be those two things, but those are an example. And there's a special paragraph and prayer that's said with it. You'll see it in your Machzer, or in your Siddur.
Yeah. And when do you cook that?
It's all done before Yom Tov, anytime before Yom Tov. And then it should be eaten on Shabbos afternoon. If you forget, it's okay, but you should use it.